Hey guys, so before we get into our Zoo News episode, I want to talk a little bit about the United States of America. Nice, quick, easy topic, right? And for those of you who just like to use Rossifari as an escape or don't want to hear my thoughts about politics or anything going on in the country right now, go ahead and skip to around the 8-minute mark and you'll hear the normal Zoo News theme song, and we'll go and have our fun there. Otherwise, you're in for the next 8 minutes. You know, where this is coming from is I've been struggling today. It is Thursday, September 11th, a date that is already a challenging one for people in the States. And I've been really struggling trying to wrap my head around how to make an episode today when I think we're at a real point in modern history that scares me a little bit here. And obviously, what I'm talking about in this moment is the death of Charlie Kirk, which just happened in the States here. And no, I'm not going to talk directly about that or try to tell people how they should react to it. Most of you have figured out my politics by now, and I do tend to lean on the liberal side of things. But I'm also pretty anti-violence and anti-celebrating crime and stuff like that. But that's not what I need to talk about and get off my chest, or why I'm struggling so hard to make an episode when I have made episodes, in the weeks that Lexi died or that my grandfather died or whatever, and not struggled as much. And it's not because of Charlie Kirk, and it's not because of anything like that. But like, I think, I used to study history. As a matter of fact, my I changed majors a lot when I was first in school, but I think my second major was U.S. history, and my goal was to become a history teacher and to torture generations of high school children and make them care about history like I do. And I think we can all agree that it's for the best that I did not go that route, but when you study history, you find that there are these inflection points where things change, and where you look at them and you could sometimes literally point to like one specific thing that started a conflict or whatever. Like, obviously, one example is the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand is what launched World War I. The first shots of the American Civil War were fired at Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina, right? Like, these are the moments. And even though we had been building up to that Civil War, and Europe had been building up to World War I, and all kinds of stuff happened, those were the inflection points where the actual conflict actually began. And maybe I'm wrong about this, and maybe it's just been so much going on in the culture wars lately that maybe I'm just overwhelmed. I don't know. But it feels to me like this death, this murder, this assassination, call it whatever you will, has sparked more drama and more outrage and more people on the right reacting in a way that is not commensurate with how they have reacted when people on the other side, and let's face it, that's how they view it, that's how both sides view it, have, had assassination attempts or deaths or whatever. And the people on the left seem to be gleefully indulging in this. And not everybody. I will say that. It seems to actually be pretty split in my own worldview and my social media view. But a whole lot of people that I thought I knew really well have reacted to this in a way that I just didn't expect. And I have been following the rhetoric on both sides, and it's scary. And I am not a person who gets scared or who gets too dramatic about what's going on in the world. As much for my own mental health as for any other reasons. But I like to look at things in a historical context. I like to look at things from both sides. I don't believe in shutting out everyone who disagrees with me on things. And so seeing it from all different angles, this has felt different to me than any other political happening in the last many, many years. And that includes the January 6th riot at the Capitol that took place when Biden won the election. That includes everything. Anything that was violent or not, or was legal or not, or was one side or the other. I haven't seen the rhetoric ramp up so quickly and so vehemently like I did at this time. And that's scary to me. And, I use this podcast to talk to y'all and to share my thoughts and my feelings. And I felt like maybe if I did that, then I could give you guys at least some of a normal Zoo News episode. And so I decided to drop it in here first. And then we could get to the fun, goofy credits and get to the normal intro. And I feel like getting this off my chest has actually made me feel a little bit better. And now I can proceed with an actual episode of Zoo News. So thank you for listening. And okay. I guess I hope my country doesn't devolve into a civil war. I can't even imagine what that would look like. We really aren't a North and a South anymore. We're all intertwined. I'm scared for this country, y'all, and I already was, but this one feels bad to me. So, all right. Well, anyway, thanks for listening, and let's get to the actual reason you're here, shall we?
Hello, I'm John Rossi, a touring drummer with a love of all things animal. When I'm on the road, I visit as many zoos, aquariums... Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Hello? Hello?
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you Rossifari Zoo News. News you can use from the world of zoos and conservation. Every week, we bring you breaking news and analysis from around the globe, featuring the animals you love and the people who care for them. And here's your anchorman, John Rossi.
Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to Rossifari Zoo News, your look at everything going on in the world of zoos, aquariums, conservation, and general animal weirdness. Now, y'all, normally I start off here with a whole thing about my life and what I'm up to, and obviously I took up a lot of your time talking politics at the beginning of this, but I will do that quickly. The San Diego trip was absolutely amazing. Shout out to Joseph at the Safari Park, who did a tour that was absolutely amazing for us. Just an incredible, passionate person. I realize this is the second week in a row that I am talking about how passionate one of the people at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park is, but that is unsurprising. It's really, they all are. I mean, it's kind of amazing. And then as soon as I got back, literally as soon as I got back, I moved down to Philly for the next couple of weeks, months, really. It's like 2 months, as I am playing $1 Million Quartet at the Walnut Street Theater down here. Now, if you don't know, the Walnut Street Theater is America's oldest theater and is considered incredibly prestigious. Even people who know that I have done a ton of national tours and everything, when I told them I booked this gig at the Walnut Street Theater were like, whoa, dude, congratulations. That's a big deal, which is cool. And so far, the theater has been fantastic. I am staying right in downtown Philly in a luxury apartment at the Franklin. Thank you very much. And everything has been wonderful and fancy, and people are awesome. We have a cast, half of which have never done the show before, which is really rare. But my gosh, what an insanely talented group of people. I am loving working with them. I am loving getting to teach them this music and share my passion and getting to know them. And yeah, it's been incredible. So that is a very, very quick breakdown of what's been going on with me. And yeah, so this is Zoo News. It is a crowdsourced Zoo News program. So if you see any stories that you think should be in here, go ahead and tag me in them on the socials at Rossifari or at Rossifari Pod on TikTok, or email them to me, rossifaripod@gmail.com, and I'll say your name at the end of the episode. So with all of that said, let's get to it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ow, that's a funky monkey, tree kangaroo, or a binturong.
It's Zoo News.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously we already did a headline story of its own type, and so we're going to start off with our births for the week, and we have to start at Cleveland Metroparks Zoo, where y'all may remember that they have a tree kangaroo Joey right now. Well, add to the list of babies of my favorite animals, a baby red panda born to Mother Poppy and Father Willie. The baby is just over 2 months old now and is healthy, curious, and really, really coming into its own. It is getting its red panda fur, the eyes are open, and all the things are doing very well. And actually, the day this episode drops, the zoo will be announcing the name and the sex of the panda. So check out at Cleveland Zoo, ClemetzOO, on the socials to find out that information. And then I could not be more excited to share this next one with y'all. My incredible friends at Wildlife World Zoo and Aquarium have announced the birth of a baby capybara to the 2 capybaras who live near the sea lions and are taken care of by the training team, meaning capybaras that I have gotten to work with on multiple occasions and just fall in love with. Now, the parents are named Chewy and BB-8. So the baby is named Ahsoka. So we are full on Star Warsing here. And the little one is absolutely adorable. It has been such a pleasure to watch these little coconut dogs just exist. I can't even explain it better than that. They are such amazing animals. And the fact that there is now a little one has blown my mind. I have been trying so hard to figure out how to get back there, even if just for a day, to see this little one while it's still little. And I know it's not going to happen because my life just doesn't allow for that right now. But I'm so excited for the whole team out there. This is such great news. And it's such a great team. You all have heard me praise them so much. So you know this Cappy is going to be getting the best care from the start. So congrats to Krista and Delaney and Megan and Emily and Britt and all of the people who I'm forgetting, and I'm going to feel bad when I remember that I forgot them. But yay, I love you all, and I love these Cappies, and I love this baby. Yay! The Calgary Zoo has announced the birth of a baby Malayan tapir, and that's really exciting. Now, as is often the case, they are referring to this as a baby watermelon because tapirs do look like little watermelons when they are born, and then they, as they grow, their fur will naturally change to the pattern that the various tapirs have. Each species has its own kind of look, and the Malayan is like black and then becomes whitish. I guess I would call it gray, but that's an argument for people who are much more visually oriented than I am. But yeah, so the baby was born to mom Saperna and is doing very, very well. One thing, just kind of as a side note, when the Calgary Zoo announced this, they showed a picture of mom and baby together, and they said Oreos and watermelon are our favorite combination. And y'all, I gotta tell you, I mean, that's cute, and I totally get what they were going for. But with that said, ew. And I really love Oreos and really love watermelons. So congrats on this amazing baby. Not congrats on making me think about what those flavors would taste like together. But also completely unrelated to the actual story. I got to try the Reese's Oreos this week. And if you haven't seen them, they are Oreos with a peanut butter filling, but it is Reese's peanut butter filling rather than their normal peanut butter Oreos. And I have to tell y'all, they live up to the hype. They are possibly the best thing I have eaten in a very, very long time. So congrats not only to the Calgary Zoo, but also to Hershey and Oreo for coming together and making such an incredible product. Manor Wildlife Park has announced the birth of 4 Sumatran tiger cubs. The mom is a Tarima, and this is actually extra exciting because this means that the previous cub born there, Zaza, is now a big sister. And Zaza is quite beloved at the zoo, so getting to see her be a big sister is really exciting. The teams have been working around the clock to make sure that the cubs are good, and so far everything looks great. So that is some really, really exciting news, as is this next birth, because this is a species that, especially in the States, we don't hear about a lot, but it's really cool. The Sydney Zoo has announced the birth of a quokka joey. Now, quokkas, I'm guessing y'all know, but quokkas are those little animals that look super cute and innocent and adorable and like they're stuffed animals. And it's kind of rumored that they will just throw their babies at predators and run away. It's a very non-nuanced, very internet take, but yeah, that's who you're thinking of. And the Sydney Zoo hasn't really done much with the announcement. They literally just put out some pics and video and said, hey, there's a new quokka joey. That was the whole thing. So I don't have a ton of information about the little one for you, but obviously it is doing very well, or else they wouldn't have announced it. The Columbus Zoo and Aquarium has announced the birth of a baby bonobo. The little one is actually the 18th bonobo that has been welcomed into the troop at the zoo, which is a really big deal. And the little one was born to a first-time mom named Kabibi, which is just wildly exciting. And this actually is the great grandson of Susie and Jimmy. Not the neighbor couple that you know down the street, but they are actually 2 of the bonobos that have been living at the zoo for a long time and are still there. So this is a multi-generational troop that is thriving, which is exactly what you want to see for this species. So congrats to the Columbus Zoo for just doing an incredible job with bonobos. The National Aviary in Pittsburgh has welcomed a new Guam kingfisher chick, also known as a seaheck. You've heard about their conservation on this very podcast, but it is doing really well. This is the second little seaheck to come from parents Kel and Yumuk, who are living at the facility and who you can actually go and see this incredibly rare species. So yeah, the little one is doing well, and this is the second one. Like I said, that was born this year, and both of them are being hand-reared behind the scenes, and we'll see what their roles are in the Seaheck Recovery Project as they get older, and we see, will they be introduced into the wild? Will they be breeders? What's going to happen? But whatever happens, it's incredibly important and incredibly good news. And I also want to give a shout out to our friends at Tanganyika Wildlife Park in this week's births section. Now, if you remember those episodes from Tanganyika, you know that I absolutely fell in love with the giraffe herd there, which is not always a species I super fall in love with. All due respect to my hoofstock keepers and also all of the incredible giraffes I've met. But I really connected with the herd there, and it's one of the largest in the United States. They usually compete with Cheyenne Mountain Zoo to see who has the largest at any given time. And the park has them doing so well that they have welcomed 4 new baby giraffes in just the last couple of weeks. So I think that is beyond incredible. And mad props to the zoo for their incredible work with the giraffe breeding. And of course, that takes us from births to deaths. And we do have some sad losses this week. And we're actually going to start off talking about another giraffe, this time at Brevard Zoo. Milena, the Maasai giraffe that has lived at the zoo for a long time, has passed away due to age-related mobility issues. She was the matriarch of the giraffe tower at the zoo, and she currently has 2 sons that still live at the zoo, as well as children and grandchildren living in zoos throughout the country. The median life expectancy for a female giraffe in an AZA institution is 20.3 years, meaning that at her age of 23, Milena was considered geriatric, and she it's a standard story, honestly. She took care of her own health care. She worked with the team. There were issues. They responded accordingly, and then eventually the treatments stopped working, and it was time to say goodbye. So, sending all our love to the team. And the Indianapolis Zoo has said goodbye to Winston, a chimpanzee that passed away unexpectedly at 38 years old. Based on the initial findings, the veterinary team at the zoo is confident that he passed away from complications due to heart disease, which is unfortunately something that is very common in great apes and large primates, including humans. And he will be seriously missed. But this is why organizations like the Great Ape Heart Project exist, and hopefully we can help find these animals a better way through these conditions, because it's always such a shame to lose one to these heart conditions. And that brings us to the rest of our zoo news for the week, and just some random stories this week. One of them is there's this really interesting video from the Milwaukee County Zoo that shows Ruth the elephant having tripped and fallen on a log, unable to get back up. And so what did the zoo do? Well, they brought in a front-end loader with hay, and an entire audience cheered her on as they worked together to get her back up on her feet. And when she was on her feet, Ruth is doing well. And so, yeah, just a great example of the impressive care and the unique thought processes that have to go into taking care of animals sometimes, because, who would have thought of getting a tractor basically to lift an elephant. Actually, the truth is we've talked about other zoos that have cranes do it too, right? And in the wild, these animals would just die. So it's pretty cool the lengths that zoos go to take care of their animals, and it is a rather triumphant video to watch. I highly recommend that you check it out. And I also really, really love the transparency as the zoo showed this off. That is pretty darn cool. I also want to give props to Aquarium of the Pacific, who we absolutely love, for their transparency. And, this is one of those great teaching moments that I love. So Ghost, the giant Pacific octopus at the facility, has laid eggs, meaning she has entered the final stage of her life cycle known as senescence. And this is a part of the life cycle where it begins when she lays those eggs, and then she devotes the rest of her life to caring for them, neglecting her own basic needs, including things like eating, and then will eventually die. from doing so. And that is why giant Pacific octopuses die young. They generally live 4 to 5 years or so, and Ghost is in that range. But I love that, they shared this now rather than just saying she was gone. And they explained what was happening. And they explained that since she doesn't have a mate, the eggs are infertile, but she doesn't think that way and will just, give up her own life to take care of them. And yeah, there's a little bit of sadness to that thought, I guess, but that is the natural way of things for octopuses. And I love that they shared that. Very cool. And this next story is very exciting, in my opinion. The Nashville Zoo has welcomed a new species to the facility. And, we often don't announce when a new species is going to a facility because that happens all the time. But this is a big one, y'all. The Nashville Zoo now officially has aardwolves. And this is a species that is almost unheard of in zoos in the United States. I have seen them at the Cincinnati Zoo, and I think that's about it. I cannot think of any others that I have seen them at. So the aardwolf pups that are at the Nashville Zoo are currently living in the nursery because they're babies. They're only 14 weeks old, and they were born at Safari Wild Animal Park and Preserve in Mississippi, and have now gone to the Nashville Zoo specifically because they needed to be raised, like hand-reared, and the zoo is nationally recognized for raising rare carnivores, especially with their success with more than 45 clouded leopard cubs over the last 30 years. So that expertise is being applied to these aardwolves. And if you don't know what an aardwolf is, first of all, they're amazing. But they are the smallest family members of the hyena family, and they have these really cool stripes and a pretty mane, but they don't look super hyena-y in my opinion. And it's really cool. They are actually they're like bug eaters. They love termites. They don't hunt large prey. So it's really, really cool. And actually, these guys, are at the nursery right now along with clouded leopard cubs and a spotted Phaneloca kit. So that is a lot of not only little animals, like baby animals, but really rare animals. I'm guessing most of you have never seen a Phaneloca. As a matter of fact, the only place I have is when I've done behind the scenes stuff at, you guessed it, the Nashville Zoo. So go see aardwolves, go see Phanelocas, go see clouded leopards, go see them as babies, go to the Nashville Zoo. And speaking of new animals at a zoo, our good friends at the Henry Dorley Zoo in Omaha have welcomed 4 Mexican spider monkeys to the family. And the reason that is news is that these 4 were rescued from illegal wildlife trafficking. And this was done in partnership with Gladys Porter Zoo, the Dallas Zoo, and the AZA's Wildlife Confiscations Network. All of those organizations came together to make sure that these 4 Mexican spider monkeys would have an amazing, safe, forever home at the Henry Dorley Zoo. And that's just such a beautiful thing. Again, I've been doing this for so long, and yet I still have to say it, y'all. I am beyond amazed at the care and the attention and the work and the money and the time that these zoos, even huge zoos that already have a huge collection, put into taking care of even just a few small animals. That's a beautiful thing.
Stereotypical animal podcast theme song. Here to bring you to conservation news.
You're going to be shocked about this, but we have another new rediscovery of a species that was thought to be extinct. In this case, it is the rediscovery of Attenborough's long-beaked echidna, which has not been seen until now for 6 full decades. And no, I'm not sure what that converts to in metric. I kid. But yeah, an international research team led by James Kempton from Oxford University spent 4 weeks within a mountain range in Papua, Indonesia. And using a remote camera system that they were able to set up, gained photographic and video evidence that the species still exists. Now, this was incredibly challenging footage to get, and it actually took years for the team to plan this and then execute it. But they did, and now we know that Attenborough's long-beaked echidna is still alive in a very remote place. And it's probably a good thing that it's remote, because otherwise they might not be alive anymore. And we have some great news for jaguar conservation. One of the things that we often talk about when it comes to conserving a lot of species is that the problem is humans. That's always the problem. But beyond that, it's habitat fragmentation. And what that means is it can be farming or logging or whatever, but we just kind of cut paths through the various environments that these animals live in, whether it's roads or just how we log or whatever we do. We do all kinds of stuff. But we end up fragmenting the habitats, and then the animals are afraid to move either over those roads or in exposed areas where there are no longer trees or whatever. And so instead of miles or acres of land, the same amount of space might exist, but it's broken up into little, like a grid, and animals don't want to go from one area to the other. So, males will be left without females to mate with, or, females that don't like them or whatever. And it makes mating more challenging. It makes avoiding inbreeding more challenging. And it also leads to increased human-wildlife conflict when the animals do decide to go into human territory or cross those roads and get hit by cars or whatever. It's a real problem. And fortunately, there is a solution for jaguars in South America. So right now, there is one area that has 28 different conservation territories within it, but they're all fragmented. And now a new protected area has been announced that will close the gaps between those areas. And that's extra incredible because this isn't just one country doing this. This area spans Bolivia, Brazil, and Paraguay. And this is going to mean that a couple of things are going to happen. First of all, the forests will be conserved and protected and connected, which is really important for biodiversity, especially for jaguars in the area. But also, this is actually going to safeguard water sources for local human communities, which again is if you want to save animals, you have to save the humans around them. And so that's a great way to do it. And again, this is another one of those things that it's happening now, but this has been in the works for years. And it has taken international collaboration, it has taken conservationists, it has taken scientists and financial support from around the globe. But this is a huge deal for jaguar conservation in all of these countries. In other news. So I tend to like to keep other news, at least somewhat silly. But in this case, it's actually a serious thing. So two women were recently struck on the Hume Freeway in Melbourne in Australia after they stopped to help an injured animal. And this is actually the second or maybe even third time that I've had a story like this sent to me in the last couple of weeks. And I think I talked about this on here before, but my mother has told me that, as I've aged, her fears for me have changed. And right now, her biggest fear is that I am going to get killed by a car while stopping to save an animal. And she fears this with good reason. She has literally been driving with me in the passenger seat when I've shouted, "Stop the car," jumped out of the car into oncoming traffic to grab a turtle and save it. So, she's not wrong. And I know that a lot of you who listen are also those types of people who will do that. So I am sharing this story not just to share the story that it happened, or to commend these people for, I wish they weren't dead, but least they were trying to save an animal. If you got to go, that's not the worst way to go, right? But also, please be careful if you do this. I love you all, and I want you all to be safe. And I promise I will also continue to try to be safe when I do this. And let's be honest, I'm going to continue to do it. Sorry, Mom. And then one more story, and I kind of find this interesting. This is the fun part, okay? So researchers and wildlife observers have recently noted that bears often will pause to just sit. They silently stare out at mountains or rivers. Sometimes it seems like they just sit and watch the sunset or the sunrise. And they just sit. And science has not been able to explain this behavior, but they do believe, the general belief among scientists is that it may mirror the human-like appreciation for calm, beauty, and solitude in nature. And it's kind of crazy to think that we live in a world where even bears need to take a moment to just chill out and take in nature. But I am so glad that they are able to.
Oh, animal holidays. Animal holidays. Hey!
All right, so it is September, which is Save the Tiger Month and Save the Koala Month. And then for your individual days this week, the 13th is Slow Loris Day and National Mountain Chicken Frog Day, because of course it is. The 14th is National Bilby Day. The 16th is Plover Appreciation Day. The 17th is National Fox Day. And those are your animal holidays for the week. And let's be honest, y'all are probably most excited to celebrate National Mountain Chicken Frog Day. All right, so there you have it, folks. Another episode of Rossifari Zoo News is in the books. I want to thank y'all for being here. I want to thank y'all for either indulging me and my thoughts at the beginning or just skipping ahead. Either way, it's honestly nice to have an audience that I can talk to and feel like I can get my thoughts out there. So thank you all for being a part of that. And of course, thank you to all of my patrons, especially my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, who is also here for stickers, Kevin Williams, and Cormac McMuffin. I'd also like to thank everyone who contributed to this week's episode, including Anya Keene, Colleen Linehan, Kim Cooley-Croninger, Carrie Kirkpatrick, Kevin Williams, Emily Rockbuck, Anna McEachran, Miles Rossi, Lizard Dunlevy, Maddie Patz, Ken Tryon, Dr. Laura Schenk, Holly Page, Crystal Chapman, Ali Malensky, Kay Malensky, The Malenskys, Dr. Natalie Taco, Amanda Berg, Sam Evans, Dr. Zoe Rossi, Jay Meredith, Ann Yoshioka, Marianne Rossi, Barbara Bennett, Melissa Reed, Michaela Beretka, JC Berkera, Becca Robinson, Stephanie Hare, Chris Infield, Justin Williams, and Renee Robertson. Thank you all so much for contributing to this week's episode. I really do appreciate that so many of you are sending me so much good stuff all the time. Oh, actually, you know what? I just realized I actually missed Sue Isbell. Thank you for sending me that. I was late on getting that, but I don't want to miss you. So, hey, thanks for doing the thing. I appreciate y'all. And with that said, I'll be back on Tuesday with a brand new episode. Oh, BT Dubs, you know where I'm going to be on Tuesday? Monday as well. I'm going to be at the AZA conference. So get ready for some fun content from that. Can't go the whole week this time because of Walnut Street, doing MDQ there, but they did let me have Tuesday off, and we have Mondays off. So I'll be speaking at the Safe Red Panda program on Monday. And then I'd like to say that I'll be attending the conference on Tuesday, but mostly I will probably be running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to get interviews and talk to people and network and meet people and just do all the things that, greases the skids and keeps this podcast going. So thank y'all for being here. Love y'all so much. And remember, friends, the words Newsy Credits Backwards are Steiderk Yuswen.
The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.